All right, everybody, welcome back. This is James Bond Bitcoin Live, and today I have a special guest here. It's Eugene. Please
Hey guys.
introduce yourself, Eugene.
Hi everybody. My name is Eugene Tay. I call myself the Alpha Mind. I run the Alpha Mind channel. I talk a lot about cryptocurrency, especially for new people who are interested in cryptocurrency but don't know where to start. So I give you guys the lowdown in simple English. Yep, that's what I
Excellent,
do.
excellent. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna just focus on you because it's just you and me. Some of our co-hosts aren't here.
Okay.
Um, so tell us the audience about what you do. What is the Alpha Mind? I didn't get to ask you that on the pre-show, but what is the Alpha Mind? And tell us about your channel.
Okay. Oh, thanks for inviting me here, James. Really been a pleasure. So the Alpha Mind is about mindset. I talk a lot about mindset, especially the millennial mindset, and how to look at the industry, take the changes, accept the disruption, and to look at opportunities where people don't really see and pivot fast enough so that you are at the forefront of any change. And this is pertinent to any business, either you're an entrepreneur or an employee. It's always about being top of your game and not just following blindly and then complaining that life is being harsh to you. So that's what I do with the Alpha Mind channel. And as I was talking about opportunities and talking about the changes and disruption, I found cryptocurrency early this year. So I was a bit later than you, James, much later. So I wasn't able to capitalize on the $3 or $6 Bitcoin era. And by the time I got into it, was Bitcoin was almost 1,000, hitting past 1,000 into 1,000 range. So when I saw that, and I was telling everyone, guys, especially all my friends, right, and my family, you guys have got to get into this because this is the next big thing. This is where the money is at. You guys got to pivot here and look at cryptocurrency. And everyone was looking at me like I'm some crazy guy and saying that digital currency. Are you sure you're using a computer and the computer gives you money every month because you can mine it? Come on, get out of town, man. That's not going to happen. I was like, no, this is real. And the old folks thought I was doing some form of World of Warcraft mining. So they say, oh, is this a computer game? So I realized the level of ignorance out there in the market when people are making money, like, the market it bloated up to 100 billions of dollars, and Bitcoin went from 900 to 1,000, and now it's at 3,000. And I still hear people on the streets, even my friends, saying, no, lah, this is not real. I'm like, dude, I just made 4K in the last 3 days and I cashed it out. It's real money, right? And so I started running this YouTube channel to tell people that this is real, this is not fake news, because somehow the mentality of the masses is that if they see something in the media, they believe it. And so I created my own media, my own YouTube channel to talk about it as often as I can.
Okay, good. Now you say you're a millennial. Do you feel other millennials have the same mindset where you're from? And tell people where you're from too.
Okay, so I'm not a millennial. I'm a 38-year-old guy who, maybe because I'm Asian, so I don't look that old. But I'm very concerned about the millennial mindset, as in the young people have a different way of thinking than the old folks. And if we just going to keep going head on and say that millennials are strawberry, they are weak, they have no tenacity, and the young guys are eventually going to overtake all of us old fogies, I'd rather not be sitting there and complaining and waving my walking stick in the air saying, yeah, young people these days. So where I'm from, guys, I'm from Singapore. It's a small little red dot. Not many of you would know where it is. James, you probably have not even been here. It's too small. It's a very small country. You can drive from the east to the west in under 1 hour, but yet we cram 5 to 6 million people in here in the small country. It's in Asia, Singapore.
Okay,
That's where I'm from.
excellent. And Singapore is kind of known for being a fintech industry.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us more about that. Tell us how much Bitcoin is having an effect in your country and what things are going on in there.
Okay, so as a Singapore Singapore has always been a very strategic hotspot for businesses in Asia. So we always want to do the new things first. We always have our eyes on things that can make money. The reason for that, I got to kind of explain to you why Singapore is so driven by money is that it has no natural resources. It's a very small country. It depends almost entirely on just commerce to survive, right? So trading, investment, that's what the country does very well. And so when cryptocurrency came about, the government is not going to sit by and go, oh, this is fake money. They're going to go, oh, let's see how we can make money of this. At the same time, not raise hell from the citizens because this is decentralized. People are hating the banks. Let's try to go in and not be seen as the force driving cryptocurrency. Hold on, let me just close the windows a bit loud.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. Yeah. So what the government has been doing the last few years is they've been investing a lot in a fintech innovation. So the government does not want to be seen as the big brother controlling cryptocurrency or getting too involved as a hands-on approach to cryptocurrency. So what they're doing is they have been investing in fintech innovations. They've been supporting companies, encouraging people to come into the field. So 10x is actually a Singaporean brand, and the government has also sort of launched a paper on the tax portal, stating that they're not going to be taxing the general man on the street, the average man on the street, like you and I. If you're going to sell me Bitcoin, I'm going to sell you Bitcoin. We're not going to be taxed. But companies running cryptocurrency as a business, launch of ICOs or companies selling tokens to users, these are the businesses that will be taxed. Or in future, if you were to set up a shop perhaps and you're accepting Bitcoins, so as long as you're a registered entity in Singapore and running a business profiting from sales of Bitcoin, or sales generally using digital currency, you will be taxed. So far, people are still okay with that because it still looks as if it's a very traditional a taxation on a very traditional business sense. Goods and services get taxed, and digital asset and currency is seen as a goods and service.
Okay. So Singapore, they're still okay with it because I know like in the EU, in
Mm.
the UK, as well as in Australia, they've all done something like that. And then eventually they've phased that out where it won't be taxed. Even Japan has changed that as well.
Mm.
Do you think if cryptocurrencies really start picking up in Singapore, they may change that as if it's a form of currency, as like money?
I think, and okay, so I've been in Singapore all my life, right? I'm born and raised here, so the culture, the mindset, and the government have not changed in the last 50 years. In fact, it's just gotten a lot stronger. We just finished our National Day yesterday, and a lot of people are, I mean, still rallying behind the government. And what I realized about our Singapore government, I'm going to give them credit for it. I don't always agree with all their policies, but I do agree one thing, that the Singapore government doesn't do anything half baked. They were not going to go into a certain industry, pass a certain policy and law, and then start to, all right, guys, I'm going to backtrack now because it doesn't work. The Singapore government doesn't do that. And they are smart enough to know how to play the emotional game, empathize with its locals, so that people don't really feel that they're being victimized here. And we are not likely. They've passed previous laws before that raise taxes here and there, but it's always done in a way that the people on the ground, the masses, don't get too riled up. In fact, Singapore is known for taxing more of the business people than the casual consumers. So as long as consumers are not going to make noise, the generic public is not going to raise a ruckus, uh, they're going to get away with it. And if you want to do business in Singapore, you have to pay your taxes. And most businesses don't mind that because if you're based in Singapore, it gives you some form of reputation. The government is also known for investing a lot in businesses, so they may tax you high, but then they also give you back in forms of grants, and they also take the money and then it's help possibly new businesses. So I will foresee that even though taxation on cryptocurrency or digital assets are going to be high, what they will do is they will infuse it back into the industry by grants, by support. So overall, you'll still see that people will find benefits in that. It's not going to be seen as if the government is thumbing down everyone and controlling this whole country, trying to you have a centralized control. It's not going to be that way in Singapore. At least that's not how I read the
Okay,
chart.
so the in Singapore, basically they tax businesses because they're making a profit. So if you're a registered entity,
Mm.
most likely if you trade and whether you accept cryptocurrencies as payment or you're selling cryptocurrencies to the general public, those are going to be taxed like goods and services.
Exactly like that.
Okay, no problem. But if I went to Singapore and I met with you as an
Yeah,
individual and I
yeah.
had like a shitload of bitcoins and I sold you like as many as I wanted to, there's no tax on that. Is that correct? Is that how you see it?
Yes, there's no tax on that at all.
Okay, okay, I'm okay with that because Bitcoin's really for the individual anyway, to empower the person, and not really the corporation, in my opinion. So I could live with that. I can go down to Singapore and then just sell some to you, then have some spending money. What's the form of currency? What is it, Singaporean dollar? Does it have a name to it?
Yes, it's called a Singapore dollar, SGD.
Okay, how
Singapore.
much is it? $1?
A dollar to US is now about 1.3. So
One
one
point.
one US dollar is about 1.3 Sing dollars.
Okay, but the cost of living is very high. I'm assuming because it's everything has to be imported.
Yeah.
Like give me an example, like what a Toyota Corolla would cost in Singapore.
Yeah, that's always the example I like to give, because you're gonna my US friend is gonna go what, because they always talk about buying fast cars and they're buying a Lambo, and then I look at them and go, I could afford that, so a Toyota Altis, a Toyota Corolla, a entry level family sedan, right, will set you back about, I think, 80,000, 70,000, 80,000 USD in Singapore if you just want to buy an entry level car.
Man, that's I'm almost at a Corvette in America for
Like,
that price. So if I buy so in Singapore, let me ask you, if I drove around in a Toyota Corolla, do,
yeah,
do everybody go, wow, look at that guy, he's driving a Toyota Corolla? Do they is it like that, or is it just normal?
it's like, oh, you're such a baller. No, no. If you own a car in Singapore, you are generally seen as someone that's well-to-do and you are successful. Because most people won't be able to afford a car. Even I'm talking about, even if you earn a decent living, you have a wife, a kid, and a house. Even to afford a car is considered a luxury. So most people don't. But if you can afford a car, you're either paying off every month and it's very painful, and your overall quality of lifestyle goes down because you have to maintain a car, or you're obviously rich enough to have a car and pay it off as a luxury.
Okay, so I'm assuming public transportation is very
Yeah,
served out in Singapore, since it
yeah,
must be a small area too. So it's not, you may not need a car if it takes 1 hour to
yeah,
drive from East Coast to West Coast. You
yeah,
maybe you can just ride a bike and take you half a
yeah.
day or something.
You're absolutely right on that. Actually, there's a bicycle culture. People actually do cycle to work, and there's also the talk that if you're going to drive to town on a peak hour, you're better off taking a train or a bus. Because it's that efficient. The transport here is very, very efficient.
Okay, okay, good.
Yeah.
And then let me go on to like your other stuff that you do on your channel. I've checked out your channel. It's very interesting. Tell us about the supernatural stuff. Tell us how you first started that. I thought that was a funny story.
Sure, James. Yeah, I had such a good conversation with you on that one in the pre-show. So I started into the supernatural because a ex-girlfriend of mine, this girl I was seeing once, she was, uh, I believe she was possessed in early 2012, and I had to deal with a lot of supernatural entities. She was speaking in a different voice. She was behaving in a very odd manner, and later on, I realized that she was possessed by spirits. And so I started looking out for ways I could get rid of spirit. And in order to for me to get beyond that traumatic experience, that 2 years of trauma, I actually wrote it into a book because I didn't think a lot of people would believe me. In fact, when I look back upon my past, it was hard to even believe that all those have happened because it's so Hollywood, right? And when I wrote it into a book and I published it and I sold it off, I get a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails from people who actually want to tell their stories as well. They said they have the title is called Supernatural Confessions, so it's more for anyone who just wants to come in and talk about their story without being judged. And so I got a lot of people sharing with me all these stories, and I thought, why don't I just put it into a podcast? Because it's a lot easier to cut a podcast than trying to rewrite a story every other week. And so that's how the channel was born. It's called Supernatural Podcast Episodes. It's also on my YouTube channel. You can find me at Eugene Tay, the Alpha Mind on YouTube.
Okay, yeah, and you were telling me about that, and you suffered through that for 2 years.
Yes, sir. Having to wake up in the middle of the night and seeing her like sort of sleepwalk or talk to me in a man's voice all of a sudden, or walking along the road and just going out on a nice romantic date, and then she'll just fall unconscious, and when she wakes up, she'll be a different person. So I was dealing with all that, like scratches, bloody scratches that appears on camera. We talk about putting flour on the floor and footprints appear. So a lot of this Hollywood stuff actually happens to me in real life for 2 years, every night without fail. Until,
Okay.
yeah, so I was going nuts, man.
All right, and I know it's not funny, but it sounded like for me you were in a really bad relationship, and she was basically just a bitch, and you should have dumped her a long time ago. So,
Yeah,
but I'm sure stuff like that does happen. Sometimes I wonder if that happened in my life too. When I think about all the women in my life, but anyways, there I did notice that on your channel, and it's a very interesting story. And we can't always rule out stuff like that because there's just some stuff we just can't explain. And
yeah,
so I'm glad you brought that up. If the viewers in the channel or anybody in the live chat, go subscribe and check out his channel. He has some interesting stories. And tell everybody else what you do. You're also a writer,
yeah. So
but now that you've gotten into cryptocurrency, you tell us like you're writing specifically about cryptocurrency. You write articles, right? Tell us
yeah.
about that.
So as a writer, I get commissioned to do articles. I write for interior design magazines. I write for parenthood, children's blogs. I even do script writing. So any form of writing, any form of creative content is my focus. And I've been doing a lot of millennial mindsets as well. So talking about personal empowerment, empathy, perception, mindset switch. So as I was talking about all this topic about finding opportunities and pivoting and disruption, I stumbled upon cryptocurrency, and then I totally fell in love with it. I'm a tech guy I graduated in tech, so that's my expertise. I'm a computer engineer. Well, that was way back in '99 when the dot-com bubble burst, and I just missed the boat. So my cert was technically useless at that point in time because everyone just viewed tech was as such a dirty word. So I started doing other things besides tech, and when I found cryptocurrency, I realized that it's actually a lot of tech involved, but not just the technological side of things that really interest me. If you look at the cryptocurrency market, it's not based on facts sometimes. It's not about, oh, this is a good product and therefore it should work. Oh, this is an awesome innovation and therefore it should work. It's a lot dependent on a story that is out in the in the market. It's like, how do people write their white paper? How do people sell their pitch? It's a hype. I mean, talking about speculation, talking about hype, talking about what people, you got to understand how the social fabric of cryptocurrency work and not just looking at charts. If you look at the charts and you read the technical analysis, you might not be a very happy person because the charts don't always work as planned, as you would find in forex or any other assets. In cryptocurrency, it's a whole different world. It's a jungle. It's the wild west out there. And if you have the tech knowledge to understand what goes under the hood of each coins, and if you are a writer or a reader and you're interested in the stories that people tell, and you can find out about this founder, that founder, the coins philosophy, the innovation behind that, and then you look at all the forums, the Reddit channels, the dev chats, the Slack channels, and you piece all these stories, it's all a story together, you get an entire picture on, is this coin worth going to? Is this undervalued? Is this something there that people are not looking at? Is this coin great, but people are not talking about it enough because the developers don't know how to market themselves? Should you put coins in there? And all this about cryptocurrency attracts me and really excites the hell out of me. I wake up every day, I read crypto. Before I go to sleep, I read crypto. I'm in the toilet on my phone reading crypto, and I have so much to share. And because I'm so excited about this, as you can tell. But the problem is, the people around me, my friends and families, are not into crypto. So it's a very lonely place out here in the crypto universe where you have only a group of nerdy friends. Most of them are men who shares this passion, but the rest of the world don't. And when you are at an event or a party and you go out and you drop terminologies and jargons that you and I know, but people around you just goes, this sounds boring, this sounds geeky, and it shuts off. But that's the danger in it because cryptocurrency is so important. It's the future of money. It's where it's the next revolution, but everyone is ignoring it because they don't understand it. So my job is to actually make it really easy for the man on the street to get involved into cryptocurrency if they're interested in it.
Okay, and tell them what website that you write for, so if they want to check you out.
Cool. So if you want to check out cryptocurrency. For if you're new in this and you're interested but haven't quite dipped your toe into trading and making money, check us out at www.cryptocentral.net, CRYPTO Central CENTRAL.net. So I talk about Bitcoin. I talk about how you find the value of Bitcoin. I even go back to discussing about what money really is.
Okay, excellent, excellent. And so, all right, so let's get on some other topics that happened recently because I want to know how you feel about it.
Sure.
How do you feel about the well, it's not much of a debate, but how do you feel about the fork, the the 8 megabyte hard fork that recently happened? And did you have any bitcoins during that time, and were you able to get some Bitcoin Cash?
See, James, I was a fool in that one, and I would admit that I I I didn't really enjoy the Bitcoin Cash fork because I was listening to people who were saying it's going to crash. When it's going to fork, the value is going to drop. So I was hoping to buy it low, so the week before 1st of August. But as you know, 2 weeks before the end of August, it spiked up, right? It dropped to 1.8 USD for a while, and I was about to go in. I was like, okay, should I buy? It's really low. It's almost back to 1.5. No, 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 no. I think it's going to go lower than that. I think people are going to go crazy and start selling. So I'm going to hold on to my money. In 3 days, it went back up to 2005, and I said, okay, you know what? I'm not going to buy in yet because it's crazy. People are just inflating it. It will drop back down to 2001, and it never did. And then when Bitcoin Bitcash came around the 31st of July, and I said, okay, you know what? It's too high to buy now because it's 2007. I'm going to wait for it to fall, and on 2nd August, market's going to go bloody. I'm going to buy it in then. And James, it did not happen. It just went up and up and up and up, almost as if it was undeterred by the fall. And I was telling people Bitcoin Cash is free money. So there's a lot of debate going out there in the forums that it's not exactly free money. The mining hash power goes out. Overall, you're going to get a drop, and then they're going to equalize. So the money you get in Bitcash and money you get in Bitcoin will add up to be about the same. But it's not true because, as we have seen, even in Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, it's almost seen as two different coins. But Bitcoin Cash is pegged at 10% of the Bitcoin, and the money is now at 3,005 in just about 2 weeks after August. So it's not gone down. And if you guys are out there listening to this video right now and you're thinking, oh, I'm just going to wait for the price to go down even further, don't. Bitcoin is slated to be rising up to 5,000, even more, 50,000. Some people have talked about it going up to $1 million. I'm not so bullish about that. I still think that 5,000 by 2017 or early 2018 is still reasonable. If you look at the market cap. So if you're still sitting on money thinking whether you should go in or not, guys, just go into Bitcoin right now. Even if you're not a trader, just put your money there. You're not going to regret it.
Okay, all right, all right. So I guess you didn't. I guess you didn't have any bitcoins when the fork happened. So did you? I guess you missed out on that. But let me ask, what do you have any altcoins by any chance?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
What?
tell the audience what you have and how you got into those.
Okay, so right now I'm holding on to GNT, it's Golem. I'm holding on to 10x, PAY. I think OMG a little bit. I have some in LTC, Litecoin. I have some in Dash. I think there's about 5. I might have a bit in VR coin, and a bit in Waves. So and a couple of other shit coins that I don't think I'll ever get my money back. How I get into all these altcoins is I look at the coins that I like. My philosophy, my personal philosophy is, do I like this coin enough to back it up? Do I like this coin enough so that even if the market dips, I believe in this coin to know that I'm not going to worry sell, right? So coins like Litecoin, to me, Litecoin is like the silver to gold, which is Bitcoin. I like Waves because Waves has a lot of interesting idea of how they want to improve themselves. In fact, the Waves founder, Sasha, is actually the founder for, if I'm not wrong, I think it's Ripple. So Ripple is pretty stable. So if he comes out to create Waves, it's going to be a good coin, I believe. VR coin has been making me money because it's so volatile. It goes up to 1.8, 1.5, it drops to 1.2, sometimes 90 cents. So if you guys are into day trade or weekly trade, putting your money into VR coin and making that difference on a weekly basis will make you a couple of $100, not rich, but if you play it small, you still get some money there. Um, why I buy Dash is because personally I like the idea of Dash. I call it hashtag Dash hopes. One day I'm going to have 1,000 Dash coin and be a master node. I also buy into what else did I buy? Oh, like I said, 10x. 10x is because I read the papers, I read the fundamentals of it, and beyond that, I bought into 10x because it's a Singapore coin. It's from Singapore, and like I mentioned before, if you have missed out this earlier part of the live chat, uh, Singapore is fintech central here, and if the government is backing something up, you put your money in there, it's hard to lose money. So even if I don't think that 10x is such a unique product, I know that the government has their money in it. That's not going to let it fail. So I put my money
Well,
in that.
can you explain to the audience what 10x is? I'm not sure what it is. Is that the credit card or is that something else?
So 10x as a product, it tries to be the interface between cryptocurrencies and the application of cryptocurrencies. Right now, if you own a Bitcoin, or you own not Bitcoin, sorry, if you own any other altcoins, it's very hard to spend money. There is no way that you could go out there and spend money just yet. Most of it is just you make money through trading. So for the generic users, they're not really interested in that. If I'm not interested in trading and I can't use the money, why am I supporting that? So 10x has this credit card where I believe they support various altcoins, and you can go out to merchants and you can use your card to pay for stuff. And as a user, it's almost like a credit card. You don't even know where the money comes from. You don't even care which altcoins or which currency you're paying with. You just know that you can get products and services with this card. And it allows a Visa, and I believe MasterCard is on board to provide this card. And it allows you to trade with other altcoins as well, or purchase other altcoins.
Yeah, was that an ERC20? Was that the Ethereum token that 10x is from?
I think it's
It was an
Ethereum token.
ICO.
Yeah. Yes, I
Okay.
think so. Yeah.
I heard about that, and there's a proposition apparently if you have the token that somehow you would get some kind of dividends or some part of a payout for not only using the card, but the holders of the token would also get a card. Or let me see how I can explain. If you bought the token and you funded the card, you would somehow get some dividends back from that. Am I correct on that, or because this is all hearsay, but since you bought into it, you must have
Yeah.
read the white paper.
Yeah, I read a white paper, but I might have. I don't recall that part though. I might have overlooked it, but I don't recall that part
Okay,
about
that's just
having.
my imagination. So it was just a crowd fund to make the 10x credit card, which would allow other altcoins to be used for purchasing things through it.
Yeah. No,
What other tokens or what other altcoins can you use with that card?
I don't know yet because I've not received my card. I'm on the waiting list. So I got to wait for the card to come before I can actually tell you how I'm going to apply it. But for right now, what I do is I just trade it. I bought it below $1, and now it's I think up to $2. So I'm making money off the trades and not exactly using the card yet because they have run out of cards. I believe they only printed 1,000 cards, but they're about 10,000 in demand, but not enough cards to go around.
Okay, interesting. All right. So let's go on to another subject here that I wanted to talk to you about in Singapore, and that was Alpha Bay shuttering. I know you're close. You're not in Thailand, but you're close to Thailand, and we talked about it a little bit. So tell us. I had Chris DeRose on a couple weeks ago. He tells me there's a lot of Russians, and apparently drugs and other things are very prevalent there, very easy. That's why a lot of Westerners and Australian people, I guess, and Russians go there. It's their playground for the most part. But the whole story with Alexander Cross killing himself and suicide in jail.
Mm.
What do you think? I know you heard the stories, but
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, because I'm a writer, right? And so my mind really goes, I like to think of the possibilities of things that could happen. He's a rich man. He has, his house as a woman. He goes to jail, and then he kills himself, right? I like to think a bit that this might be a conspiracy, that he didn't exactly kill himself, but people in the darknet community might just want to get him out, just sort of murder him there, and pay people in the prison to murder him, just to keep some secrets. I I don't think he killed himself. I think, but I love the conspiracy theory better than the truth, right? But as I said, this is entirely conspiracy theory, guys. I have no facts based on this, but just my own imagination, thinking that there is probably no reason for him to kill himself except to hide secrets, and he probably didn't do it himself.
So you think he did kill himself, or he was
No,
killed?
he was murdered.
He
He
was
was made to look
murdered.
like he was made to look like a suicide.
Okay, interesting. And I just want to hear your take on it because you're in a different part of the country. You're
Yeah,
closer to Thailand. You
yeah.
probably been to. Have you ever been to Thailand?
So many times, bro. So many times.
Okay, so you've been to Thailand. You know what it's like. So you probably have maybe a different perspective on it. And we also talked a lot. And maybe you can you tell us something about Thailand? I mean, because apparently a bunch of Russians at their playground. First of all, are there a lot of Russians in Thailand?
When I went to Thailand, no, I don't see like a lot of Russians. There isn't like a mafia or an enclave where there are only Russians in there. No, I've not seen that.
All right. Well, how about just a bunch of Russian people?
I guess you will find Russians there, but like you will find Russians in Singapore or Malaysia. It's not. It didn't occur to me that, oh, the Russians are invading Thailand. There must be something up here. I didn't get that kind of feeling, but I do see that there's a lot of Caucasians there, a lot of Australians, in fact, in Thailand, a lot of Americans, but not so much like Russian has been dominating Thailand. I didn't get that feeling, or maybe I was just in a different part of Thailand and I didn't see that.
Maybe you were in the non-Russian part of Thailand. Maybe
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's interesting. Because the rumors were that Alpha Bay was run by the Russians or the Russian mafia or stuff like that. I don't know how that's true because Alexander Craze was a Canadian
Yeah.
Frenchman of some sorts out in Quebec. So
Now, I got to add on to that, right? I mean, Thailand on the surface, Thailand's a beautiful country. If you ever come down to Asia and you come find me, I'll bring you up to Thailand myself. We'll go for a week there and just enjoy ourselves. But Thailand is actually a very clean place. It's a land of smiles. Service there, people are very very nice. The people there's awesome. The food is awesome, but it's also a very hotbed for people to go there and do a lot of illicit stuff, illegal stuff. It's vice central.
can you tell us some of the things, some of the illicit activity that goes on in Thailand, just to give an idea?
Okay, so the stories about all the vices there, the sex trade and the sex industry, it's not as rampant as how the Americans would see it, but there are places in Thailand where it's just dedicated and devoted for sex trade. People go there knowing that they will get laid. It's like the Amsterdam of Asia. There are the lady boys, and there's also this saying that in Thailand, if you see a girl that looks really really hot, she's probably a man. Okay, so the Australians actually go there. Some of the retired Australians go there for the pedophile industry. There's a lot of underage sex going on. We don't report it very much, but it exists. If you mentioned drugs, maybe not in Bangkok itself, but on the outskirts of Thailand, you can get your own drug supply there. People don't talk about this because a lot of hush hush. So maybe your Russian friends at the enclave might be in Thailand, but they're under the fabric, under the dark. They are not seen on the surface. Because
Okay,
honestly,
no, that's good to that's good to know. And you know what? Maybe I will go. I want to check this out. I got to see this myself. And what are the chances of all these Westerners going to Thailand to have sex with ladyboys? What are the chances of that?
it's I would say that it's almost like saying that you would travel all the way to Amsterdam for weed. Not everyone does that. In fact, when I was in Amsterdam, weed was so rampant, but no one goes, "Oh my God, weed!" No, it's like so normal. And by and large, the entire country, it's more than just sex, right? You have food, you have people, you have the sightseeing, the temples. All this are actually a lot more interesting than the sex portion of it. In fact, if you go down to Pat Pong and all this lady boys place and you look at that, you go like, wow, it's great, it's eye-opening, it's entertaining, and then that's it. The thrill is over, it's done. And there's more to see in Thailand.
Okay, that's good. Good point. But it must be. I also hear it's relatively inexpensive, and maybe that's another reason why you see a lot of people go there.
Yeah.
Is that true?
I mean, you look at just the exchange rate from your side to our side, you can almost live like a king, right? Other than Singapore, where I mentioned that the cars are probably the cost of an arm and a leg. In Asia, you talk about Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines. The our co- the currency is so much weaker compared to the US dollar that if you come down and you have 10 US dollar, you can probably eat like 3 full meals a day or 3 full meals in 2 days, and you might not even get that kind of stretch for your dollar back in where you come from. You go to a diner, it's probably $10 already per meal.
Okay, very very interesting. So that's very that's a good story. I'm interested in going to Thailand just to check out the lady boys. I have someone in the audience to ask me why I'm so interested, and so that's why. And another thing is, have you ever seen the Fox series ISIS?
No, I've not seen that one. No, I've not.
It's a cartoon. It's a parody. It's about the spy agency, and there's this character named Sterling Archer, and the whole thing is him going to Thailand and then having a crazy time with a bunch of lady boys, so that's why I watched that series. I think that's funny. But anyways,
Is it?
let's go ahead.
It's called Archer, right? The
Oh no,
show.
yeah, you're right. It's called Archer, and the organization was called ISIS,
Yeah,
which is
yeah, yeah,
funny because isn't ISIS like a terrorist organization?
yeah. I love Archers. It's really funny.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's move on and let's go talk about let's talk about a little bit about Bitsy and the shuttering. Okay, have you heard the story about Bitsy being shuttered because they're apparently laundering bitcoins, stolen bitcoins?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, what is
Uh,
your take on that? Because we have a different mindset out here in America, North America, maybe even Europe. But what is your mindset since you're in Asia, and how do you feel about Bitsy being shuttered and supposedly they're going to try to come back
yeah,
using a Bitsy token, just like how Bitfinex issued their own token to come back. I really doubt they're really going to come back after the fact that they've been laundering coins
yeah.
and even laundering money. So
I said Bitsy is not really a big deal here. Not many of our crypto guys are talking about it. I mean, we have heard about it. We go, ooh, wow, this bad news. But the thought that I have about that whole thing is, you see, it's supposed to be decentralized, anonymous. It's supposed to be a very darknet side of darknet feel in the crypto world where you can do things anonymously. And then now we're being cracked down and people are being thrown into jail. So that's on one hand, you go like, how anonymous is this cryptocurrency universe, right? Like, eventually you still have to. Eventually there'll be regulations and moderators coming in trying to tag everyone so that they know where money is coming into to prevent money laundering and stuff like that. But what I like about it is that you remove all the scum of the earth, people like them, from cheating money and laundering hack coins. So that's going to be good for the industry overall, where hackers will now have to think twice. If I hack all these bitcoins, where am I going to launder it to? Because there's no opportunity. So that reduces crime. And when crime is reduced, those people who are in the crypto world trying to do good is not going to be affected. So I think of it more positively than negatively. I'm trying as best as I can to help eradicate crime in the crypto world so that business can flourish. Because if this place, at one point in time, I was talking about it. Almost every alternate days, I was talking about it. Some other exchange got hacked, someone lose money, someone got tricked. There's a big tracks phishing. So if you're going to have all this sort of crime affecting the cryptocurrency universe, it's very difficult to go mainstream. Legit business is not going to find it enticing to come to this space to do business. And if that doesn't take off, entire cryptocurrency world is just not going to work. And you and I are not going to make money. Money is not going to be there. So I'm trying to fight it off. So the whole shutting down of Bitsy, I I like that more than I disliked it.
okay, okay, fair enough. And I didn't have any coins on Bitsy either, you
You
know.
don't care.
Yeah, so I don't care. I think all those people who had, what's sad is, let's say people were using it to launder money or were using it for their illicit gains. All they did was use that site to dump their coins.
Yeah,
And so if you really think about it, all those people learned a valuable lesson. Own your private keys, hold
yeah.
on to your Bitcoin, and you would have made a lot more money. So hopefully they learned something. Probably not, but hopefully they did. So hold on to your Bitcoins, people.
Yeah. What
And
are your
speaking,
thoughts about it?
I'm sorry.
What are your thoughts? I mean, from your part of the country, you might have a different thought on Bitsy. You have a differing view.
Well, I knew a I knew a guy who probably had coins or had money on Bitsy, and why he had it on there, I don't know. I was trading peer to peer, and so the assumption was, I guess he used that to buy his coins or acquire his coins somehow,
Mm,
dump it there to retain its value, and then when he wants to sell it, he would buy up the coins and then send it out, or he would have a certain amount of coins, just for trading, for giving to selling to peer, but the rest of his bulk of his money was in what's probably on Bitsy because there's no registration,
mm,
there's no sign up, you don't have to give out your identity, you don't have to.
yeah,
Um, but anyways, so I kind of don't feel sorry for some of those people because if you really thought about what Bitcoin is,
mm,
it empowers you to control your money. And it blows my mind to think how many people are out there, whether they do this for illicit reasons or they do it for legitimate reasons, how they just foolishly go back to a centralized system again after being empowered to have control of their own money. They
yeah.
buy, they took the money and they bought Bitcoin to be empowered, only to go back to just give it away again. So I feel like those people were very stupid, and hopefully they learned a valuable lesson because that same thing happened to me. Although when I got into Bitcoin, I didn't realize the power that it gives to every individual. I didn't realize that. I saw it as a way to make money and trade. Only later on did I realize how empowering it is because my banks, all the bank accounts I've ever, most of it, the banks would close. They would close my bank account and they would give me no reason. My credit card companies would close my credit card accounts and gave me no reason. It's almost as if I was on a blacklist of some sorts. And wherever I go, my name seems to appear, probably along with my social security number.
Mm,
And then when they discover I have a bank account or have a credit card, they send me a cancellation letter, and without any reason other than you have a right to get a free credit report, and that's about it. But other than that, I'm pretty much shut off financially through, I believe, an incumbent system that
mm.
may view what I'm doing a threat to their business model. And so
Yes,
only then did I start realizing how powerful this Bitcoin is to own your own money, and not only that, but essentially become your own bank.
mm,
And that's in some ways that's what I'm doing. And I must have traded with so many people that it's spread. I helped spread that idea. For even though they may not have used it the same way, they at least they understood how powerful it is because they couldn't use Western Union, they couldn't use MoneyGram, they couldn't wire this money, it wouldn't go through. But if they got some Bitcoin, then they can get whatever they wanted. They
mm,
could
mm,
pay for whatever. Now, maybe they couldn't get whatever they wanted, but they can pay for whatever they wanted. Whether they get it or not is a different aspect. So I feel that for me, at least for me,
yeah.
these people should have known better, and maybe now they'll hold on to their bitcoins because if they did, they would all be billionaires. If you think about all the people, if you think about the illicit market of how many bitcoins have gone through their hands,
Yeah.
they would have been billionaires by now. They wouldn't be crying right now. That's how I feel. So, but let's go over onto the next subject that I wanted to ask you. HBO. Have
Yeah.
you heard about HBO? They
Yeah.
were hacked,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're asking. Do you know how much money they're asking
Sixty
for
million
the
was it?
rent?
Was
Fifty
it how much?
million?
Was it? I know they were hacked and they were ransom, but I didn't get the actual figures.
Well, I just think it's just hilarious. I'm tempted. I am really tempted to contact HBO and just hack them again, like social engineer hack, and tell them I can get this back
Yeah.
to you if you give me 1 million in Bitcoin. Just email them and just see what they do. It's like a phishing attempt, right? Just say, hey, HBO, I can get this all back for you. Just give me 1 million in Bitcoin. I promise. I swear. And they might do it because it's 50 million and then it's 1 million. They'll be like, okay, it's a better deal. Here's 1 million. I'll be like, gone.
Yeah, hey, why not, man? You can give it a try.
I mean,
I
it's
think,
worth a shot. I mean, they
yeah,
don't know who I am, right? They may believe me. I'll tell them
yeah.
I know these guys. Trust me. I'll get it back for you.
Do it, man. You should do it live, and let's see whether you fell for that. You got
I
your ratings are
should.
gonna shoot through the roof.
Yeah, I know. Oh, Carlos says 7.3. Okay, but still 7.3 million versus 1 million. I think they'll
Yeah,
bite on it. They may
yeah.
bite on it. It's a good deal. All
But
right.
I find it so amazing that they would just grab the stuff from Game of Thrones and just ransom them, hold it for ransom. Like it's even unheard of. Like people are just getting innovative with all these ransom ideas.
Yeah, it's still the Wild West, and we think Bitcoin like as being secure, like we worry about our Bitcoins, but really, if you think about it, anything digital,
Yeah.
anything that's worth money, like content,
Mm,
especially TV shows or movies, that's not the first time this has happened. This is like the third or fourth time, and it just goes to show like anything everything digital is now becoming valuable. Before it
mm.
used to be worthless. Like no one gave a shit about you. If you did digital art
Yeah.
or you created digital content, no one gave a shit about it, right? It's like, oh, it's just digital. Just make another one. Now all
Mm,
of a sudden, everything digital is becoming, uh, you know, valuable. All of a sudden, even coding,
mm,
people's coding has become valuable. So I wonder what future lies for the future generations that can code because we're getting more and more digital and how much of that is going to be protected through people hacking
mm.
like even now if you your photos and everything people can just lock you out. I had one of my wife's friend had her Facebook like taken over
Wow.
and what's funny was I was like well tell and they took over the email too. They took over her email and that's how they got to the Facebook. And I was telling my wife to tell her friend email yourself the email that got taken over and offer Bitcoin to give it back to them and I bet you they'll give it back to you you know and I was thinking, have her buy Bitcoin from me, and then have her give it back to them, and they'll give it back to you. All right, so there's like for every opportunity there is. I mean, there is some opportunity in this whole industry. So
Yeah.
hackers, have fun. There it's a whole new business model out there.
Yeah.
Bank robbing. You don't have to rob a bank anymore. You just have to rob a computer.
Yeah. Exactly. Now. Actually, I think for the digital, the value of digital products, right? It started off, I believe, even way back when uh, talking about computer games, when Ultima Online, you have value as a character. World of Warcraft, Diablo, all these are games that have a lot of resale value in the market. So people will actually pay money for these accounts. And in fact, I sold some of my accounts for a few $1,000s as well. So, so the idea of digital product having a value in the real world market has been out there at least in the last decade already, in the gaming community at least.
Right, right. Okay, and okay, the last thing I want to cover or one of the last things I want to cover is how the I guess SegWit being implemented. What are
Mhm.
your thoughts on that? I mean, what does that all mean to you? Because as obviously it's locked in right now.
Yeah.
For SegWit, it didn't really mean larger block sizes or bigger throughput. It didn't really mean anything like that for me because I transact with other people, so I just pass the cost on to my buyers or my sellers or whoever. They pass it on to me, and I'm willing to pay for it because I make money on it.
Mm,
What it really meant for me was something like a second layer on top of Bitcoin, like Lightning and maybe some of these side chains.
mm.
What does SegWit mean to you now that it's locked in? Like how do you think it's going to help you and for you and where you are and maybe for the Singapore people?
Well, for the generic users, we don't really care whether it's how it functions under the hood. We just know that we want it faster because at one point in time, when you transfer Bitcoin, it takes like a day, 9 hours, even the next day before it gets processed. And if it's going to be that slow and that expensive, it's very hard to to see it as an innovation. It seems almost we're going backwards. So whichever path that they take, to the generic user like myself, we don't really care. We just want it cheap, want it fast. However, when I looked at the story behind Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, even with the fork, uh, what what I felt was interesting was the Bitcoin Cash was going back to the roots with Satoshi's idea and a roadmap for Bitcoin. So it seems as if Bitcoin Cash was the original idea, raising from 1 MB to just 8 MB by keeping everything as it is. And then Bitcoin is the one that went on the fork side. It's actually trying to centralize control of Bitcoin, but in return giving you speed and lowering the cost. So it really depends on how you want to look at it. But for the generic user, it's like it's cheap, it's fast. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna support this. But if you're gonna be an old school at heart and go, I want to go decentralized currency, I want to go with Satoshi's dream, Bitcoin Cash is what it is. So depending on whether you're sentimental or not, but for me, I'm just gonna go where the money is. This has more value, this is faster to trade, I'm gonna go with it. But eventually we'll see. I mean, although it's locked in, but I think the future is still yet to be seen, because Bitcoin Cash may still come back up as the top coin to look at, and then the fork and Sedgwick 2X is coming up may actually not make a dent at all. So we can still see what the future is later on.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you got a good point, because when I look at the Bitcoin Cash, their difficulty's gone down.
Mm,
They're making more blocks, although they're barely full.
mm,
But it's coming to a parity point where mining on Bitcoin Cash and mining on Bitcoin with SegWit, they're almost at parity as far as mining profitability.
mm,
And when it reaches that point, I mean, what do you think is going to happen? Is it going to be which chain offers a better value to the users? I mean, because you're going to have to decide. I'm going to have to decide which one to go with. So well, right now, if you're just looking at money, obviously SegWit, Bitcoin SegWit
mm,
has a better value. I mean, I already have the coins. I got
mm,
both coins on both chains, so it doesn't matter to me.
mm,
That's the nice thing about just holding your private keys. So, but I saw SegWit as an option for the second layer to add applications on top of the base,
mm,
blockchain.
mm,
And I think there's a lot of value for users on the second block, on the second layer, just for the
mm,
users. It's not for the miners, although
mm,
miners can't participate. With the Bitcoin Cash, it seems like it's still miner focused. Like, miner. This is about the miners. Only thing I get out of it was maybe some free money out of it as a user,
yeah.
and that's kind of about it. I don't know what else they have in planned, because I don't see them pushing for any merchant adoption.
Mm,
The whole idea was to buy coffee, which I don't have a problem buying coffee. You know, I could buy coffee right now without Bitcoin just fine.
yeah.
And so I don't know what else they can offer, unless they're going to put more money, unless they're going to take the money that they're making off of me and
Mm,
everybody else,
mm,
and build a whole ecosystem, like take that money instead of pocket for themselves, which is hard for me to believe, because if that's what they wanted to do, they should have been doing that in the first place.
yeah. Some people I listen to on podcasts and on the YouTube channel, they believe that it's not my idea, it's theirs, and I'm just going to share it with you guys. Some people believe that the Bitcoin Cash may end up being just a stored value. So people will still buy into Bitcoin Cash and hold on to it. Not much of trade on it, or really really big trades, but the day-to-day application will still be with the Bitcoin, the one like you say with the second layer application. It's easier to use. So one will be used for daily transaction, one will be used for big transaction or even stored value. So I don't know how true that is, but I really would not like Bitcoin to die. That's the last thing I want to see happening, where there's infighting and then it cannibalize itself. So let's hope that doesn't happen.
All right, and my last question for you, we're almost about to wrap this up, unless somebody somebody one a few of my audience members wants me to ask if you could take your shirt off, because it's an inside joke. I always ask them to take their shirt off, but you don't have to.
Oh, why not? I don't have such a nice board anyway, but it's all for fun.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. He took his shirt off.
Oh, it's
Well,
getting hot
God damn it! You all asked for it and you got it. Gosh,
in
I was just joking, but that's cool. You're the man,
here.
Eugene.
Thanks,
You're
James.
the man.
Thank you.
Okay, Eugene. Last question. What
Hmm.
what do you use Bitcoin for in Singapore? How have you been using it yourself?
So far, I've been hoarding all my bitcoins. I've not been using it yet. But I just think I'm just thinking about getting as many bitcoins as I can, holding on to it, and wait for it for the price to go up, and then I might sell it. So for now, there is no real world application for Bitcoin yet. Or at least I'm not using it for anything yet. So there's a lot of money I made on trading only so far.
Okay. So you're just hoarding it right now, store of value for the most part, waiting for it to go up to at least $70,000 for one Bitcoin. Maybe
I
you can
wish
buy a Toyota Corolla or something. That's
exactly.
like a Lambo in Singapore. If you got a Toyota Corolla, that's basically a Lambo.
Yeah. So when we look at people talking about Lambo, I'd be like, yeah, if I can afford a Toyota, that's awesome.
Well, Eugene, you're a cool guy in my book. I mean, you do a lot of different things, but you know what? I'm glad I had a chance for you to be on my show. I'm glad I have a chance to talk to you. Hopefully, I can make it to Singapore and we can both go down to Thailand and get ourselves a few lady boys and have a party.
Looking forward to that, man. And thank you for having me on your show, James. Really appreciate it.
All right, Eugene, please tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me. I think the best way you can find me is on Facebook these days. I'm there every time. www.cryptocentral.net, CRYPTO Central CNTRAL.net, and from there you'll find the links to all my YouTube sites anyway.
Okay. Your link to your YouTube channel is in the notes section. I couldn't find anything else, but maybe
Sure,
after the show you could give me all your other Facebook, Twitter, anything else you have, and I'll also put that in the links section.
sure.
So awesome. This concludes this episode. I had fun on this show. This is great. Hopefully we could have you back on at a later time and you could tell us your other adventures that you're doing and other articles that you're writing on. So let me see here. I think that's it. So stay tuned for the next episode, if there is going to be a next episode. And bye bye, everyone.
All right, bye everybody. See you again, James.